Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Goto 10. And good you're all here. Just about me, my name's Aaron. I'm an event host here, Goto 10. And so I help with all these events, as you may know, for those who have been coming. But I also help our members here if they want to become member or if they need help with using the stuff we have here. So you're welcome here anytime. We're open 8 till 4:30. It's totally free. If you want to become a member and you can be able to be part of this community, you can come here and you can organize your own events or you can attend all the events we're having here. And also we have 3D printers, meeting rooms, everything. So cafe. So yeah, come along. You're very welcome. Now I'm going to pass you over to Fredrik. He's going to talk about today's event. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. And welcome to this last Tech Tuesday for this year. Tech Tuesday is something that we... Oh, it's even... Please stand here. Yes. It's for the live stream. Tech Tuesday is something we arrange in Linköping Science Park sort of every third week, together with our partners from Combitech, Naira Dynamics, Ericsson, and SICK. Exploring technology developed here in Linköping by the companies here. And we're, I'm not going to speak for a long time. I just want to introduce today's speaker, Johan, CTO at Combitech, talking about technical development and how it's been affected by the war in Ukraine. So welcome, Johan. The stage is yours.
I think it's quite rare that you just come with a laptop and then you just connect your HDMI connector and everything else is taken care of when it comes to sending to the online audience and so on. So thank you so much for that. That's quality of a place. Unfortunately, very rare. The topic here is what is the learnings from Ukraine when it comes to technology development, and this is not going to cover the more pure military aspects. This is a presentation I had together with the CTO of Saab, who talked about the Saab perspectives, and also the CTO of BAE Hägglunds, the maker of the CV90 vehicle, and they were responsible for their parts of the story, and it was a closed presentation with a closed audience, so they talked about different things there. I will cover more the total defense side, or the way the civil society needs to think about defense. And then some boilerplate about me and Combitech. I'm the CTO of Combitech. Combitech is a consulting company, one of the largest in Sweden. Right now it's 2,200 employees. We are growing. We are owned by Saab, and therefore one can say that Combitech is the consultant firm that belongs to the Wallenberg family industrial society, so to speak. And we are focusing, of course, 50-50 roughly about civil industry, and the rest is about something related to defense. It's a combination of defense industry, but also the Swedish armed forces. And as you understand, we have a lot to do at the moment, unfortunately. So that is the situation. This pointer was perhaps a little bit... So, and Combitech, one could, as I said, we are the way it works is that we are not only the consulting company, but we are also providing a lot of expertise into the Saab Corporation. But in inventions, innovative solutions and things in Saab, we are also bringing back and provide to the civil market as well, because things that are invented for a defense purpose can also be very, very useful for the civil purpose as well. So here is a collection of typical customers. So it's a mix between large industrial companies, but also authorities and different armed forces. And we are available both in Finland and Norway as well. Okay, so now back to this topic. Sorry about the slides being in Swedish. But I will hope you can get along. About the everyday life in Ukraine. So what have they done that Sweden could learn from? One thing is what in Swedish is called trygghetspunkter, or some kind of mobile service stations that provide with water, heat, food, electricity, information that is correct, and also Wi-Fi. And since last time Sweden had a year, we see that there are some new aspects that is now regarded to be very, very crucial to have a decent living. It's of course electricity and also Wi-Fi. Secure shelters or safe rooms is of course very important. A lot of artillery coming down. But they have also put together some sort of experience and recipe of how can we solve enough of secure place at our homes. Typical rule of thumb is that if you have two concrete walls of the type bärande betongväggar in Swedish, between you and the outside world, you are quite probable to be okay. So there are experience there. And why is that important? Well, you are not allowed to have your pets with you when you are seeking the more official shelters. And of course, there are a lot of different situations where it is very important to be able to stay close to perhaps relatives, animals or other things. And the trick when it comes to having a society that can stand in terms of war is that try as much as possible to keep on doing what you usually are doing. Be able to work with the job that you have, be able to provide with the services that you usually are providing. So shut down as little as possible and make everything hopefully work as good as possible. So the ability to have secure places, they are very creative around that aspect as well. And of course the mobile phones is a fundamental instrument suddenly. They have group chats, they use Facebook, they use WhatsApp, they use whatever favorite to be able to create groups that brings together your neighbors or anywhere. You need to be able to have ways to quickly contact not only your social media friends, but the people that might be reliant on you, or that you are able to share information. I saw something, I heard something, be able to keep an eye on each other in different ways. News And correct news is a very, very crucial thing, because there are a lot of fake news. So the apps that the government, the Ukraine government, the official one, is very important. And the super VMA, important message announcement, or what I should call it in English. The Swedish people, I guess, have heard about Hesa Fredrik. That sounds 3 o'clock, particular Mondays. That's the Swedish VMA solution that we have currently. Something that sounds very much. In Ukraine, they use an app, of course. And not only will that send an alarm to you, it will also show a real-time map where you can see the incoming aircraft or incoming artillery, so you can make a judgment on your own whether this is safe where I am, or if I need to take very, very drastic actions. So extremely much more informative than just Hesa Fredrik. Psychological defense. Of course, news campaigns that tries to make you feel that it's not a point. There's no point in defending yourself, or your Ukraine society is corrupt or so. That is, of course, an everyday situation. This is, in fact, something that Sweden right now is actually in war, so to speak. That is something that is right now ongoing also for Sweden. Fake news, typically AI generated perhaps. Cyber attacks, you all know what that means. But and the interest of media. Yeah, it is very important to keep being the top on the agenda of media. Suppose Sweden would be affected by an actual war. How do we attract the media of the international media organizations? Ukraine suffered also on that point when Hamas did this terror attack on Israel, and all that changes the focus of media. And if you don't have the media and attention, you won't get, eventually, perhaps help or similar things. Okay, this headline is about a civilian helping the defense. This is about what I call an Uber app for fire. There is an app that you can order or make. If you see something that is suspicious, you can give the coordinates, and then you can decide on 3 different types of attack. As a normal citizen, at least, I hope there is someone in the military chain that actually are involved in actually sending the different artillery units. But again, Ukraine defense are reliant on the normal citizens with a mobile phone to be able to be useful for giving input. Where is the enemy at the moment? And then just be able to sort of order an attack on that. Like ordering an Uber taxi. The mobile is a sensor. That means 2 things. Anyone could provide, I mean, here it looks like nothing is happening. It's a road, nothing is there. But that is also important information. Maybe it's good to send a photo or send a video stream to the defense unit, and by that help the defense to get some fresh sensor data about the situation right there. Maybe because that I don't know, but maybe the Ukraine also defense can sort of take data from any Ukraine member mobile phone without they knowing it. I don't know that, but the amount of sensors that we all can bring is a very important asset. That's very clear. And drones, as much as drones as possible, and I think there's a shortage of drones right now. This war is about drones in many aspects. If the military unit, what kind of civil things are they using? Connectivity. Anything that is able to move data from point A to point B is an asset also for the military. Swedish military, they have their own ways to transport data. And right now, any Swedish military is forbidden to use any civil data connection because it's not safe. The rule here is that in Ukraine, they need to use whatever is available, and they don't care so much about it's more important to be able to transport data to the right person than avoiding the data to become available for the wrong person, if you understand my message. But of course, they are in an active war. It's a little bit different when it comes to risk assessment if you are before war and planning and need to keep things more secret in that aspect. The amount of data is just phenomenal. As I said, video streams from potentially each citizen with a mobile phone, and how to judge and how to decide things, what kind of actions should they take in order based on all that data. So it's not an option anymore to not use the big tech hyperscaled cloud providers because it's not scalable not using them. How to make decisions on all that data, of course. Traditionally, you have a command and control system. Each authority have their own command and control system. The military have a command and control system. AI is probably a must to cope with all these decisions in future. And this one is actually a little bit interesting. In Ukraine, if you are a skilled programmer in a Ukraine startup, you are an expert in programming Python or things like that. Typical kind of profiles that we see a lot around Mjärdevi, I would assume. You are probably most likely assigned to the armed forces, actually on the cutting edge front line, because there is a huge need to have programmers being able to improve the digital capability of the team that you are fighting with. So DevOps means be able to develop very quickly and be able to secure the quality quickly on a good enough level. There is another term called DevSecOps, which means that they have implemented also ways to also keep the security aspect, which is typically very tedious work, according to the Swedish way of doing a secure system. So they are thinking differently here. Why? Well, the Russians they are never doing the same kind of tricks they did yesterday. They are constantly improving the way they can trick you or using their data. So that means that there is a fight between the speed of digital development between both sides, one could say. And this means that maybe I should put another box here, which means let's say basic gadgets that we all kind of have as toys or whatever. When I discussed it with the CTO of BAE Hägglunds, it turns out that of course it's very useful to be able to connect the CV90 vehicle with a drone or with anything perhaps that has been bought on Clas Ohlson. So everything that is technical that can be combined in order to survive this day is very important. That can be the thing that is needed. So that is speed and flexibility. And how do we achieve the same speed and flexibility here is the question. Ukraine has prepared for this since 2014, so they have been able to adjust their way of thinking for a number of years before the catastrophe happened. Energy supply. Today we are quite dependent on electricity and fossil fuel, diesel. One could say that right now we are filling up. A lot of work is that we need to have much more storage of diesel in our society than we had before, because Sweden has been extremely good in thinking lean in any aspect, not do anything more than that is absolutely necessary. That strategy isn't really resilient anymore, so we need to store diesel. But that is not so good for the climate, of course. So, and in fact, diesel is nothing that Sweden can produce on our own. We need to import it. So, of course, if there is a chance to be more self-supply when it comes to energy, we have got a lot of electricity, but we have not so good things to actually provide vehicles in a sustainable way with electricity. Battery is probably not scalable enough, so we need to have something else to solve that. But in Ukraine at the moment, they seem to have quite good amount of fossil fuel available. It was a shortage in the beginning of the war, but they have been able to find ways to provide with more solutions there. But the point with this is that in Sweden so far we have talked very much about sustainability when it comes to having a good and green technology. And it is sometimes quite difficult to have the very good business case when it comes to green technology, because it seems to be a little bit more expensive than the traditional way of doing it. But if we combine resilience with sustainability, I think the business case is quite interesting. So I hope that this will be something that more actors in Sweden will find out and start to move towards something new there. So a vision here and something that is multi-resilience. If we take an critical asset in Sweden, when it comes, for instance, to the IT operation, typically we have two IT servers or two energy supply stations, because we have been good in preventing that we have resilience against mistakes. Perhaps someone has had a bad day on the job, a Monday, and mistake happened, at least we have one unit still in operation, and therefore we can claim that the thing is safe. But if we have an active enemy, then it just needs 2 explosions and the whole critical unit is gone. So the trick here is to actually find ways to not only have 2 spare units, you need to have multiple scenarios, making it very hard to have one single point of failure that you can attack. So multi-resilience would be my message to the energy sector, also to connectivity, and being able to also prepare and designing for such a crisis. And also, of course, for cloud technology, IT and AI and all that stuff needs to have wider multi-resilience. And I will now look a little bit deeper into something called the LASA Structure. It's good to have that talk on a lunch break. There is a report from the EVA, the engineering scientific academic operation in Sweden we have. Ingenjörsvetenskapsakademin is the proper term. They have done a report. The author of that is Patrik Feldström, which is a very, very top expert on the internet infrastructure we have in Sweden. And the basic message is that before and currently, when you are introducing new systems, it could be in a company or in an authority, you typically develop those systems taking responsibility of all the different layers. So if you have here you have the passive infrastructure, you have the active infrastructure, and on the top here you get the application. So basically, if you have a function called Rakel is something called that is connecting police units and so on. The typical way you do it is that let's build something, and then we build everything from the ground up. But if we have an agreement with standards in the society where each actor, perhaps the telecom operator, we can use any telecom operator instantly. If Telia doesn't work, we have Telenor, or it happens to be a Comviq or Tre antenna station working, let's use that. So the LASA means that it should be a standard on each level that is making it very, very efficient to switch actor in order to have good resilience. And there are countries that has done it like that. And Estland, for instance, is someone that has for a long time been very, very careful making the country well designed when it comes to having a good resilience. So maybe that is something to think about. Yeah. Combitech did a survey, asked 600 companies. This was in, I think, April this year. What are their perspectives on being resilient, or is resilient important for them? And I won't go to the details here, but saying that only 9% of the Swedish industry has plans for crisis management. But 52% thinks that the total defense is very good and important questions. Only 38% think that they have a role in total defense, which is also too low. There are very few things in the society, and there are very few companies that in a war situation wouldn't be very, very crucial for the operations. Because if you think about it, when it comes to supply chain and different dependencies, your work and your company has a role and it has a dependency, and others are dependent on you. So if you do a careful analysis on that, everyone should start immediately to build some plans. What should we do if the impossible happens, or not so impossible anymore, I would say. So where should you start? And this is something that Combitech is also helping out with, of course, is cybersecurity. It's an obvious thing. You need to improve that. You should also have a good understanding of in what way can you be affected by false information? Can you be used by an enemy in terms of providing false information to a third party? And do you have the right way to make decisions? Will your management in a critical situation be able to have access to the right information? And of course, what is the company role in a crisis situation? How do you plan to be able to keep on your operation? We know that when this big boat in the Suez Canal went a little bit sideways, it was a lot of crisis, not only in Sweden, but in the whole of Western Europe, of course. But that's nothing compared to what can happen otherwise. And the last thing, you need to practice. Practice is now something. We need to take the time and practice. And then we find out that the plans perhaps were perfect, and then you improve that. So it's an agile process as well. But as I say, this is not a very happy talk, but we are, in Sweden, we have been in a very, very safe zone for a very long time, and we don't have the culture to care about these things. We are a culture that we do it quickly, we do it lean, we do it with as few resources as possible. But here we should also start training about, okay, what if a catastrophe is happening? So thank you so much for making your lunch break miserable, but I think the message is, of course, important. Thank you so much. Yeah, sure. No problem.
Okay. So, any questions I could take? Yep.
Much of this, what you told us, is really the responsibility of the Civil Defense Authority. Why haven't they come up with all these bright thoughts?
I think they are doing that, but it's perhaps, in my taste, we are not used to do things quickly when it comes to authority actions. But that's just my opinion. But I'm always on that side when it comes to internal processes in the company as well, that things are taking too long. And for good reasons also, we have a quite traditional, in Sweden we have the authorities are decoupled. There's not one super authority that dictates what everyone else should do, which is, so for democratic reasons, a very good setup. I think it has served us well. But MSB, of course, the authority about Myndigheten för samhällsskydd och beredskap is of course well aware of this. but it is a big step of the situation is quite critical compared to being able to have a good defense for forest skogsbränder. Yeah. So I mean, there are a lot of their table, of course, but that kind of catastrophe and pandemic situations, this is a little bit other level of urgency. But the Swedish Armed Forces are also very active right now. And hopefully it can be the way that with the way we think about the Swedish Armed Forces, that they will be very quick in adapting new technology in a way that no startup in Sweden would have seen ever. So I don't know, maybe the technology front end actors will be a little bit different from what we are used to.
Is there any more questions?
Everyone seems sad, and so I guess I made my point.
Okay.
Yeah, but please contact me or anyone from Combitech. We have a quite a big office here in Linköping, so a lot of people engaged in this topic. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Johan, and thank you for being here. Hopefully we see each other next year. We start in the beginning of February, I think, with the first TechTuesday then.